Researchers at Stony Brook University and Columbia Law School put out something interesting that I think calls into question what it means to be a creator, a creative writer, or anything or any kind of creator in this world of AI. So, what they did was that they actually tested to see if AI can convincingly generate the writing style of 50 well known authors. And the way they went about doing it was number one, selecting three main large language models: ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. And they did a two-phased experiment, and the people who were evaluating for this was a mix of experts and lay people or non-experts. And what they did in phase one was actually just use in-context prompt learning, which is they gave the large language model a prompt and they gave it some references like passages to look at from an author's bibliography. And the large language model's task was then to try to copy the style and the validity of those texts. And the second phase that they did was actually fine tune a large language model. And they could only do it with ChatGPT because that's the only one you can fine tune. So, what they did was they fed ChatGPT essentially the books of these writers. And it was interesting that they found that in as little as two books, they were able to convincingly train the model to such extent that even the experts who are choosing AI generated outputs as the better outputs 8 out of the 10 times. Now, this is interesting because it brings up the question of a generic generative model versus a fine tuned generative model. We see it in both images and in images, videos, and in text generative models, is that the base model by itself without the fine tuning is maybe not as convincing, but when you fine tune it, like in this case, it's one of those like 50 writers, it can very convincingly even fool the experts. Now, what does it mean to be a creator, a writer, a poet, an artist in the age of AI if your data can just be pulled and a large language model trained on it or an image model trained on it, and then somebody can convincingly create your style? I think that's a very interesting question and one that I don't have an answer to. I think this is an ongoing debate, and I'll be curious to know what other people think. So if you have any thoughts about it, drop them in the comments.